Okay, what's going on everyone? Doc here, and today I want to talk about Man-Thing. Man-Thing is, in my opinion, a highly underrated champion. And today I want to say why I think he is so underrated, and this video is not going to be like any other video that I've ever made. Hopefully I can show you all just how good he is, or at least how good I think he is, especially in endgame content. But I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with it as well. You'll see what I mean pretty soon. So let's get started talking about my Man-Thing. I recently ranked 5'd Man-Thing as my 9th rank 5. Despite having Dr. Voodoo already on my team, I do compare him to Voodoo quite often. I think Man-Thing serves a really good purpose on my questing team, along with having a place as a strong defender. He's got some specific uses in endgame content and some specialty utility to go along with that. So a little bit of backstory. In the comics, Man-Thing is the guardian of the Nexus of Realities. For those of you who don't read the in-game lore, like me, the Nexus of Realities is a place where all worlds in the Marvel Universe intersect, making it a gateway to other realities. It's located in the Florida Everglades. Honestly, a world's portal guarded by a swamp monster is not the weirdest thing to be in Florida.
What are you doing in my swamp?
Yes, I did say all of that background stuff just to build up to a Shrek joke. Using Man-Thing well is all about his rotation. He benefits a lot from Mystic Dispersion to help his basic rotation of SP1, Parry, Heavy, and Repeat. Personally, I currently, and in this gameplay, run 3 of 5 MD, although he might be a bit better with 4 or 5 because that will allow him to gain a full bar of power with each Heavy following his SP1. His SP1 is simple and is the integral part of his basic rotation. When you use it, Man-Thing's going to rip his own arm off, smack the opponent with it, and follow up with a nice toss across the screen. Places 3 pustules on the opponent in total. These pustules are buffs on the opponent that have no effect, like Voodoo's Loa. One is placed on activation, and the other 2 on each hit of the special. It can even hit the opponent's block and will still trigger the buff.
Man-Thing.
Will you get up here and give me a hand?
And with the use of his heavy attack, Man-Thing is going to turn each pustule into 1 armor break and 1 poison. All pustules nullified with a heavy attack give a increased 50% potency to the armor break and poison potency. So Man-Thing can deal some massive damage with his heavies. On the cooldown, he also becomes unstoppable when charging his heavy, so you can intercept the opponent with it. When using the synergy activated by She-Hulk or Howard the Duck, Man-Thing will also become indestructible while using his heavy to intercept, a nice bit of utility to have. So, Man-Thing is a creature of empathy. From the comic lore, it's known to understand and react to powerful emotions such as fear. Whoever knows fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing. In-game, Man-Thing expresses his anger at all those mean champions who like to stack up buffs, especially champions like Angela, who stack up all of these buffs, and won't let him help her get rid of all of them. His agitation increases by 5 for each medium attack on a buffed opponent, and reaches up to 100. Man-Thing's attack will also increase with his agitation, giving him up to an 80% base attack increase. This clip against Angela shows his maximum raw damage capabilities with class advantage, of course. With no armor breaks, Man-Thing is hitting for 4,500 crits on medium, and his SP2 is capable of hitting over 20,000 between the 3 hits. That is some pretty great raw damage for a champion that normally relies on debuffs. Man-Thing also has a passive nullify ability. His acidic secretions gives Man-Thing up to 15% chance to nullify a buff based on agitation each time the opponent makes contact with him. This can be both Man-Thing hitting the opponent and the opponent hitting Man-Thing. Man-Thing will also increase his agitation by 5 whenever he gets hit. Man-Thing is quite possibly the tankiest champion in the game. He's number 2 in total base health right behind King Gru, with a very impressive over 39,000 health. King Gru beats him by only about 300 health points. In addition to that, Man-Thing receives no extra damage from critical hits. The yellow number shows up, but it does the same damage as a normal non-crit hit. Each special of Man-Thing, when Man-Thing is awakened and below 50% health, will trigger a regen buff on him, allowing Man-Thing to heal 4.5% of base health at max sig. Mine personally heals for 2.5% at sig 20. 2.5 may not seem like a lot, but that's still 1k health with every special. It doesn't stack, but proper special usage can heal you up easily, and with Man-Thing it's very easy to hover around that 50% health mark. If Man-Thing is above 50% health, instead of regen he will trigger a Fury buff. Mine personally gets 12.8% base attack increase. Man-Thing's SP2 is what you need to use to remove a lot of buffs. For each hit of his SP2, Man-Thing has a 100% chance to nullify up to 2 buffs. Its SP2 has 3 hits, so up to 6 total buff nullifies. Quick maths. His SP2 is how you shred opponents like Old Man Logan by taking those buffs and nullifying them into pustules. Then with a heavy attack, it's Poison Heaven. However, it is a bit chance-based, as it's random between nullifying the actual buffs and nullifying the pustules. Finally, Man-Thing's SP3 shows off his true size. The opponent punches Man-Thing to no avail, causing Man-Thing to grow in size as he burns the opponent, then lands a swift punch on them. This causes Man-Thing to place a poison on the opponent, along with gaining a Fury buff, increasing his attack up to another 80% based on his agitation. That Fury lasts for 30 seconds. So max agitation plus the SP3 Fury is going to give you a 160% attack increase. Man-Thing is now doing 260% attack. But remember, if your Man-Thing's SP3 growth lasts longer than 4 hours, please consult a real doctor. So I want to show off a bit of gameplay here and show off favorable and unfavorable matchups for Man-Thing. First up, a very favorable fight for him with Old Man Logan at 613. For Old Man Logan, I was able to get to my SP2 while building up those 0 damage bleed passives on him, and then I would bait a special, causing Old Man Logan to trigger a Fury buff for each bleed passive. Each Fury meant an easy pustule, then poison for Man-Thing. So in 613, Man-Thing actually completed the whole quest by himself, mostly because of his sustainability. I wasn't using any synergies at all, but also because of the long distance relationship node, which I'm going to abbreviate from now on as LDR. So LDR is a global node in this quest, and it gives him a weakness debuff that's pretty unnoticeable in terms of his damage output, but it does give me some willpower healing. Fights where Man-Thing could poison the opponent, Yellow Jacket, Moon Knight, Iron Man, a few more on the quest, went the same as normal in terms of damage. I used a basic rotation, maybe mixing in a few mediums to build up agitation, but agitation is difficult to build up when the opponent doesn't have any buffs that they are constantly triggering. Right here, Old Man Logan is a perfect example of just mad poison damage.
Look at all those poisons.
So I'm not going to show the whole quest here, but I'll show Iron Man next. This is what I would consider Man-Thing's basic fight. These are fights where he's neither the best nor the worst option. Non-buff champions, but also non-poison immune. It's a pretty wide range of champions. Only 27 of 174 champions currently in the game are poison immune, according to Aunt May. Of these, 4 are buff-heavy cosmics, and it would be good if he could poison them, but instead he has the option to build his agitation to 100, which helps his damage out a lot. Very few champions have a natural resistance or immunity to nullification like Angela or Thing, and those fights usually take a lot longer. So in a normal fight like this, you won't really build agitation, but you'll keep around 3 poisons and 3 armor break on the opponent at any time. Iron Man's a little bit of a better scenario because he's proccing those armor up buffs every once in a while. So you can see I was at 8 poisons right there, and we're just going to keep kind of building them. And his agitation is also able to build because he keeps getting those armor up buffs. We keep nullifying them with the pustules. So agitation is at 80. We got that Fury buff and hit for a couple 4Ks. Healing is entirely stopped by poison, which is another great reason for poison. And Iron Man's down. There are some really difficult fights for Man-Thing in that same path, like Sentinel and Thing. Both of these fights took 4, almost 5 minutes, which is pretty bad for an R5 5-star. Not only are they both tanky, but they don't have a plethora of buffs for Man-Thing to feed his agitation on, and it's either difficult or impossible for Man-Thing to place poisons on them. Not only does Thing have class advantage, but he's immune to nullification, so I can place pustules but never nullify them to poisons. I can place 1 poison with each SP3, but it's probably more beneficial for the most part to use SP1 and build up agitation with pustules that will last their full duration. Man-Thing does do one very good thing with these fights. He beats them. Man-Thing soloed the entire quest, 9 Act 6 fights, all on his own with my poor gameplay, no boosts, no synergies. Now, I'm not the best at using him yet, I'm still practicing, getting a good feel for my Man-Thing. I made a lot of mistakes throughout the quest, yet was still able to get through. Got smacked by a SP3 of Hyperion at one point, lots of failed dodges, tons of block damage through all these fights, but his regen, his tankiness, and the willpower from LDR node all helped him survive. Thing does go down about 4.5 minutes through, but he goes down, and that's enough, honestly. Now, this fight is still relatively unfavorable, but honestly, my Man-Thing is still a big fan of Angela. With Angela, her Sig ability gives her a chance to resist and nullify for every buff, so the more buffs Man-Thing places on her, the less likely it is that she will actually turn into poisons. A few nullifies go through here and there, but it's nothing to rely on for damage. Voodoo has the same problem when fighting her. Instead, with Man-Thing, what I want to do in this fight is a different rotation. I never use an SP1 since I don't need to. Angela's going to supply the buffs to feed Man-Thing's agitation on her own. That's what I'll be focusing on in this fight, my agitation. I want to be building to an SP3 as often as possible for that extra fury buff with high agitation. Again, I'm not running any synergies here. Despite being unable to nullify her buffs, Man-Thing can still build up his agitation against her, and that'll deal some really big damage. As you can see, my agitation builds up 5 for medium, like I said, so it'll take me 10 combos, each with 2 mediums obviously, to reach max agitation. Once I'm there, since Angela always has buffs, it's easy to keep up. Agitation will start to fall off quickly if it hasn't increased in a while, but it's easy for my Man-Thing to keep it up with Angela. So I'm very close to high agitation here in this fight, and I'm going to be reaching it in a second. The first fury buff for my first SP3 is about to fall off. When I use my second, it's not going to stack, but it's going to refresh with the higher potency, since my agitation is higher than when I used my first SP3. So an SP3 here is going to place a couple more pustules on her, so I can keep my agitation up, since those are going to last their full duration, plus whatever buffs that she already has on her. So I've got that fury buff from my SIG ability, which gives me like 12.5% I think. I've got the 80% fury buff from the SP3, and I have 80% increased attack from agitation. So she's absolutely getting shredded. And once I use that second SP3 at max agitation, the fight's pretty much over. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how big is my Man-Thing? You know, his size tag is very important. Before Mojo came out, everyone was hoping Man-Thing would be XL, so he could be a powerful Mystic useful in Variant 2. But he's only tagged as L. He has an excuse, though.
Well, I just got back from
Fighting
in the
Battle Realm.
and the
Battle
was
Realm.
cold.
You mean shrinkage?
Yes. Significant shrinkage.
And as you all know, it's not about size, it's about how you use it. Man-Thing works just fine in Variant 2 with the global node. Because of Variant 2 allowing L champions heavies and specials to not glance, that's all he really needs. He can keep using his basic rotation of parry, heavy, and repeat. He just won't be able to build up agitation. Now, here's some Variant 2 gameplay to show what I mean. There's even a poison vulnerability path here where he's probably the best option. For starters, his synergy with King Groot, which I am running. King Groot's another XL champion who's buffed by the other nodes in this variant. Allows him to place a poison on every parry, so his damage starts off strong with his first parry and can remain strong throughout the fight. I'm also using the synergy with Thing here that allows Man-Thing to gain a fury buff from each parry. So he can still only parry in heavy, but now his poisons from those are heavily increased in damage since they're susceptible to that 200% attack boost. And his heavy attacks are doing 15,000 damage. So I just landed another SP1 there. I'm about to use another heavy. Another almost 20k, and the poisons are pretty much going to kill him off insanely fast for some endgame content.
Does size matter? No.
So Man-Thing is also probably the best option in the entire game for some very specialized utility. One of the biggest and most difficult is the Mysterio fight in 633. This Mysterio has Acid Wash, so he takes 90% less damage from all sources unless poison. For those of you who don't know, Mysterio is poison immune when his helmet is active, and there's only 2 ways to disable the helmet. First, a Spider-Verse hero can knock him down, but no Spider-Person has the poison ability, so it'll be an incredibly long fight for them. The second is with Armor Break, and Man-Thing is one of only 2 champions in the entire game who with both Armor Break and Poison. Conveniently, he can place both at the same time. The only option rather than just doing 10% damage is King Groot, and I think I've showed off why Man-Thing is such a better option than him. I wasn't able to get all the way through this fight, but I kind of show off how you get there. It's really difficult. Like I said, I'm still practicing with him. I don't just mean that as a joke. I wasn't running any synergies, but if I was running the King Groot synergy like I was in Variant, then that would probably make this a lot easier, but I needed all my champions to kind of get through and get to this fight. So it's definitely doable with Man-Thing, especially as a solo. I did the Biohazard King Groot fight right before this, so I was missing some health, but it's doable, and he's definitely the best option, way better than King Groot. Man-Thing is not the perfect champion. In a lot of ways, he is outshone by Dr. Voodoo. They both place null buffs that can deal a lot of damage through poison, and both have sustainability. Voodoo's SP1 can nullify so much more than Man-Thing once duped, and he does it consistently. Voodoo also has power control, which Man-Thing lacks. But Man-Thing is not Voodoo. Man-Thing has much more survivability than Voodoo. He has regen throughout the fight instead of just the beginning. He can take critical hits for days, and he has bleed immunity, which allows him to fight Biohazard. His raw damage can also reach much higher with his agitation, armor breaks, and also his SP3 Fury buff, all increasing his attack. So overall, I think he's a very valuable champion, and I think I did the best that I could to show that in the video.
I hate to say I told you so. So, welcome to Miami.
And that's gonna do it for this video. This took me a lot longer to edit than I thought it would, recording this at the very end. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the various jokes throughout. Any that I couldn't find a place for, I made like 10 of them, I think. So I'm going to throw a couple at the end of the video. So you can skip to the end if you want to watch those. Please leave a like if you did, subscribe, comment what your favorite part was. I'd love to hear it. Maybe I can do another one of these at some point where I kind of mix in humor into the information as well, because I enjoyed making this and writing the script for it a lot. So yeah, thanks for watching. Next couple of things that I'm planning on doing. The next big thing is going to be, I'm going to start a new account, and I'm going to do streams on it. Definitely inspired a little bit by Brian Grant's new account thing, 72-hour challenge, but I'm going to take mine a little bit more casually, because I want to be able to make guides for new players, because I realized that I haven't had any of those questions in 4 years about what kind of to do at the very beginning, so I want to be able to answer those questions for people, especially because I know some people that are just starting out on accounts now. And then I'm also going to start streams on my main account once a week. First, starting off with Incursions. Yes, I'm going to stream those either tonight or tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure, but they'll be pretty shortly after this video goes live. So that's going to do it for this one. A couple jokes thrown at the end after this little clip here. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video.
Man thing.